You are listening to the 90 Days Later podcast with Anna Charles, episode 148. Welcome to the 90 Days Later podcast, where I show you how life with less alcohol is more fun than you think. I work with high achievers who struggle to drink a glass of wine without it turning into 2 bottles. I'm the one they call when they want to take it or leave it. So if you want to change your relationship with alcohol that doesn't involve counting days sober, you're in the right place. Hi everybody, and welcome back to the podcast. Hope you're having a good week. All right, today we are diving into the moment. We're talking a specific moment, into the moment when it's time to commit to what you have already decided for yourself, right? Whether that's to go alcohol free or just have 1 or 2 glasses of wine. But what often happens is you're busy, you're stressed, and that second glass of wine or even the first glass of wine just seems like an easy way to unwind, right? To take the edge off. And then out pop those oh so familiar words, I don't care, I just want a drink. Today we're going to look at what's happening during this moment. And stick with me, because this episode is going to change the way you think about yourself and what you see yourself as being capable of. So let's first take a look at what's really happening when you say, I just don't care, I just want a drink. What you're actually saying is, I don't want to feel this emotion right now. Maybe it's stress, maybe it's overwhelm, anxiety, perhaps it's boredom. But that's the emotion you are trying to avoid by reaching for that drink. Right? In that moment, you are choosing not to deal with that emotion. You're basically telling yourself, I don't care about how I feel right now. I don't care enough about myself to process this emotion. I want to feel different, and I want to feel it now. Now, here's the thing. Not caring, as in not caring how you're feeling right now, is a choice. It is a choice. We tend to think this sort of thing is automatic, right? That just kind of happens, like we just can't deal with our feelings. But that is not true. We are choosing to numb ourselves in those moments instead of sitting with those uncomfortable emotions. And look, it's understandable, right? It's easier. It's easier to not deal with them in that moment. That's what we think. But really, is it? I mean, really think about that. Because every time you numb those feelings, every time you push away those feelings, you are not only missing out on a chance to carry through and stick with your drinking goals, but it's far deeper than that. You are missing the chance to understand yourself, to understand what it would take for you to grow and to heal from this. So what if you did care? What if you didn't want that second glass of wine at all? Right? You just didn't want it. It's not a struggle, it's not a fight, you just don't want it. How would your life change? Let's just think about that for a minute. I want you to imagine a life where alcohol isn't the answer, and when you know it is not the answer and you're living that, right? When you wake up feeling amazing every morning, what would you do instead of drinking? Would you be reading at night? Would you be sitting just chatting with your husband? How would your energy change? How would your focus change? I want you to think about all the situations where you currently don't even care about alcohol. There are many. Even if it's, only 8 in the morning, I want you to think about these different times. Or maybe it's when you're out with friends having a great time, when you're on a walk, for instance, or when you're really engaged in something that's fulfilling. Right? There are these pockets of time when you do not care about alcohol. What if you could design more of your life to feel like that, so that alcohol doesn't even cross your mind? So here's where the magic starts to happen. Because what if you could actively create a life that is so fulfilling, so rich, so magical, that you really wouldn't even care about alcohol? Let's talk about what that might look like. First, you're going to start doing things naturally that will make you feel good. Maybe, as I said, it's just now, it's reading at night, or going for an evening walk instead of drinking. Or maybe it's doing something creative like writing your book, or catching up with friends, or starting a new hobby. It could be something that excites you more than that glass of wine ever could. This is certainly something I have found when I stop pouring my desire into the alcohol and pouring my desire into projects. The sense of achievement I get is such a kick, such a positive boost to how I feel. It's stronger than any amount of dopamine could have done for me from the glass of wine in the moment. What else could you be doing to feel good? Maybe it's something as simple as actually listening to your spouse or your children when they want to tell you about how their days were. That's amazing, actually. If you truly listen, it's a very different experience. And then I want you to imagine waking up early in the morning, refreshed without the fogginess of the night before, and feeling all that wonderful relief, right? Because you're going to have more energy, you're going to be more productive, and you're going to be feeling truly alive. The truth is that when you stop using alcohol to numb yourself, you're going to start learning how to process your emotions in real time. This is what I call stepping into emotional adulthood. You'll be absolutely faced with doing it. You will be doing it. You won't be running away from it anymore, because you're no longer relying on external things like wine to make you feel better. Instead, you're going to be facing your emotions head on and then processing them and not reacting and restricting and resisting them. You're going to be moving through them. It is a very different feeling. It's the feeling of taking full responsibility. And this, my friends, is when the real change happens. You change not just because you've cut back on your drinking. That's really surface level. You change because you're learning how to deal with life without numbing yourself. There's an amount of self-trust and relief and resilience this gives you. I cannot even begin to describe. It is such a magical feeling. Now, you know me. I like to give you homework, give you something practical on the podcast. And that's where we've come to now. So I spoke just now about processing your emotions in real time. Right? The sadness is on me. I'm now going to process sadness. And when we process them in real time, this is the thing that will stop us from reaching for the glass of wine. We want to push the emotions away. Now, it all starts with firstly being aware. But here's the deal. Especially at the beginning, when you first start doing this, things are going to move very quickly. And you might find that you're reaching for the drink before you even realize that's what you're doing, before you even realize you're reacting to an emotion. So that's okay. It's what happens. And that's why I want you to learn how to buy some time by simply inserting a pause. That's it. And we can do this around the time when you want to pour yourself a drink, when it's time when you've planned to have a drink. So the next time you're about to pour that second or third drink, whatever it is, I want you to just instead stop. Just for 5 minutes. You can do something else. You can just sit still. Doesn't matter. We're not pouring the wine and we're not drinking it. Set a timer for this, right? In those 5 minutes that come up, I want you to think about yourself. I want you to ask yourself why you want the drink. Ask what's really going on. How are you feeling? Are you feeling stressed? Are you feeling tired? Are you feeling bored? And then ask yourself if there's another way to deal with that emotion. Maybe you want to take a deep breath, go for a walk, or just sit quietly. I want you to let yourself feel the emotion that is coming up, even and especially if it's uncomfortable. This sounds so simple, and it is. But here's what happens when you pause. You start to regain control. You give yourself at minimum. I mean, this is the least thing that happens, right? You give yourself the chance to choose something different because you're not just automatically operating. You give yourself the chance to choose something healthier or something that actually does make you feel good or something that you really genuinely want. Those 5 minutes can change everything because they interrupt the automatic pattern of reaching for a drink. They're going to give you space to care about how you feel. They're going to give you space to care about yourself. It's everything. So here's the takeaway from today's short and sweet episode. When you say, I just don't care, and you may just catch yourself literally saying those words out loud, or maybe they'll just be a thought. I want you to remember, this is just a choice. It's a choice to not care. You can choose to care about how you feel. You can choose to pause before that next drink, and you can choose to create a life that's so good that alcohol doesn't even matter. I was writing about this to my email list today about an event I recently held where I completely forgot about the wine I was going to serve for a visitor. Just didn't even cross my mind, right? It just didn't matter. It was so low on the priorities. I just didn't even think about it. That is possible for you too. And this all starts with taking 5 minutes, just 5 minutes, to check in with yourself. And that small pause can lead to a big change. That's my challenge for you. This week, I challenge you the next time you're about to reach for that second drink, or the third drink, or even the first drink. Just take a pause. Give yourself those 5 minutes, and you may be surprised at how much clarity and control you have a sense of, and that you think you gain. Thank you so much for tuning in today. And remember, real change starts with small steps. I can help you with those. I can take you from where you are now to where you want to be. With alcohol, however that looks for you, I am not prescriptive and I am judgment-free. Go to 90dayslater.co or click on the link in the show notes and book a free call with me. You will not regret it. All right, so that's it for this week. If you enjoyed this episode, I want you to make sure you subscribe and do please leave a review. It helps other people to find the podcast. Perhaps share it with someone who might need to hear this too. Take care, and I will see you next week. If you like what you're learning in the podcast and you want to take the work further and achieve total freedom around alcohol, let's talk. I help my clients stop reaching for that first glass of wine the moment 6 p.m. rolls around and they don't miss out on life. Email me for more information on anna@90dayslater.co. And if you did enjoy the show, I'd really appreciate if you'd leave a rating and review to help others find the 90 Days Later podcast.